Hi, this is Shantae. Welcome to my political analysis today on Wednesday, July 1st, 2020. Happy fiscal year, new year, I guess, for those who are in finance or in government or a nonprofit. It's the start of the fiscal year, so congrats to that. Happy July. It's going to be a long summer. Yeah, I know this year is like canceled. See, the only thing I'm kind of looking for is towards the end of the year, of course, which is the celebration of family, but also hopefully a new leader to usher in us in 2021. Well, by the time January 2021 hits. So anyway, I'm going to get to this stuff real quick. So coronavirus, I did the stats. That's what kind of took me long. I do like 3 or 4 hours of research, like a crazy person. So globally, we are at 10,662,993. In terms of the U.S., we are at 2,684,416. The number of deaths, we are at 128,044. So yeah, that's the number that we got. Brazil, as you know, is the next in line. They are 1.4 mil. Russia is at 653,479. Russia is at 585,493. No, excuse me, that's India. UK is at 314,992. By the way, they put the UK Union, well, the European Union put a ban on the US as one of the 14 countries that won't be, that would be banned from there. Not shocking. Also, and in terms of their numbers of deaths, Brazil has the second highest deaths at 60,632, followed by the UK has 43,991. Then India has 17,400, and Russia has 9,521. So yeah, but then the U.S. is still at the highest, over 100 and almost close to 130,000 deaths. As of some Black and brown nations, we have South Africa, which is the highest in the continent at 159,333. Colombia is at 98,090. Ecuador is at 58,257. Panama is at 34,563. It went up by 1,000 and plus. DR is next to it at 33,382. I believe the last time, I forgot where I wrote those numbers down, but the DR was definitely at 32,000. So they went up about almost close to 1,000 cases, but Panama went up by like almost 1,500 cases. Nigeria went up by 26,257. Honduras is at 19,558. Ghana is at 18,112. Senegal is at 6,925. Haiti's at 5,975. The Diamond Princess remains the same at 712 because they remain the same. Jamaica went up about how many cases? Because they're in the 700s now. Jamaica went up by I didn't even record it, but Jamaica went up by like 100 and something cases. Like not even 100, like about like 40 something cases, probably like 17. Guyana went up by 3 cases. Trinidad and Tobago went up by 4 cases. Oh no, it remained the same. Gambia, which is also in Africa, is at 49 cases of COVID-19. St. Vincent remains the same, as Belize went up by 4 cases. Grenada, St. Lucia, and Dominica remain the same. Grenada is at 23, St. Lucia is at 19, Dominica is at 18. Now, according to the United States, not states, like I said, we are a third of the cases and a third of the deaths of this country. New York is still at the highest cases. We had 398, 70, and 77 and 770, but the difference is our cases are remaining the same and some are falling. Our death toll, I got to that yesterday, was about 11, I think. When we're gonna get to, Cuomo had a daily briefing today. In terms of the number of deaths, overall we are at 32,000, and our recovery rate is about a third of the cases. The recovery rate is at 70,590. As for the other states who's seen rising in cases, California had a big jump. They had a big jump from I thought they went up by 15,000. That was from the other day. So they went up by 7,000 cases. So that was my error. So they're at 238,395. And this data here is according to the New York Times. The other data of the other countries, what I read to you, is from the John Hopkins website. You can go to coronavirus. I wrote the site down. coronavirus.jhs.edu. Let's see. Florida is Texas, because Texas is the third now. They jumped in front of New Jersey. Another state that jumped in front of New Jersey. I'm like, so there's 174,775 cases. Then Florida is next in line at 158,989. And these states who had the least cases in the first wave have jumped in front of states like Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Illinois, Michigan, and even New Jersey. They're creeping up to the New York ladder. They're having the New York problem. Then you have Arizona, who did a pretty significant jump of about nearly 5,000 cases. So they're at 84,152. Yesterday they was at 79,399. And Georgia did a about 2,000 so cases jump. They were at 77,280. They definitely reached 79,589. So that's where we are, folks. And there, of course, there's no mass testing. But New York State had tested over 4 million people. So I'm going to get into New York, but California has put a ban on their mask. And so did Pennsylvania, required people to, scratch that. They ain't put a ban. California and Pennsylvania have required their citizens to wear masks in their states. And I'm going to get into Cuomo's briefing right now, which he has laid out some facts for us today in his daily brief. Not daily briefing, because he hasn't been doing daily briefings lately, because New York has seen curves and they're flattening. He acknowledged that that we're still in the midst of a national crisis, and that we're seeing troubling signs across the country. 35 states have seen increases in their cases. That includes Maine, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, Washington, Oregon, Arizona, Utah, Arkansas, and Alaska, Texas, Louisiana, Florida, North Carolina, Kentucky, and etc. It's 35 states. It's a lot of states. Besides New York and New Jersey, who has not seen increases. He quoted Dr. Fauci, saying Dr. Fauci said we could possibly see 100,000 cases a day. And as of today, according to the Washington Post, we have saw 50,000 increasing cases of COVID-19 in the country. So the number of cases that went up by 50,000. Yesterday was in the 40s. The other day was in the 30s. And now it's in the 50s. And it can ascend. Like, it can ascend to by 1,000. Because of the relaxing of the social distancing measures, the Republican governors, which I'm going to get into in this briefing in a minute, and then in my opinion on it. Also, with the daily new cases, he about 40,000 per day projected before we got the 50,000 breaking news from the Washington Post. The Europeans are seeing 4,000 cases per day. I mean, the UK, out of the whole European Union, has the most cases than the other European countries. So, pretty much, they banned us, like I said, from coming into their country. Like, I mean, I would ban them too. You can't contain your coronavirus. Like, you got the third of the coronavirus. And on top of that, like, you can't even, like, contain your shit. Let's be real. And also in this briefing, he did criticize Republicans for downplaying the virus, including the occupant of the White House. Duh. He mentions that the buck stops with Donald Trump, because it does. And I quote him in saying, the buck stops with Donald Trump, not just because he's the president, but these words came out of his mouth. And that is true. It came right out his mouth when he said that this virus will go away and that it will go away like magic. It's like the flu. He said we won't see this. He will get the economy back together and blase, and it's July. Warm weather's not killing it. No disinfectants will help us in our bodies. It will help clean our surfaces, but it won't help us in our body. Because I'm not injecting no goddamn bleach. No Lysol. Spray in my mouth. That's all I'm saying. And that Trump was also in denial, and testing is going up. That's what he said. And that's why cases are going up, which we all know that's not true. Cases are going up because states, especially Republican states, only did 2 week stay-at-home orders, and some didn't do none at all. They said South Dakota didn't do none at all, and their cases not exceeding, but doesn't mean when they get the second wave, they're going to see hell break all loose. That's all I'm saying. And also, he criticized his administration for Pete Navarro's memo about the virus and saying, like, everything is fine, basically. Also, Cuomo acknowledges the issue that he has to deal with, like the protesters in Long Island, the protesters upstate, because in the city, we wasn't protesting. We was fine being locked down because people were dying in the city. People were getting sick. Mostly essential workers that work in a store in the city lived uptown in the Bronx, or lived in Brooklyn, or lived in Queens. Some lived in Manhattan, yeah, and they, by no fault, they gave their family members the virus, and they did not know that they have it, because this is a silent enemy. Like, you can get this virus, you don't know where you get it from, right? So yeah, and he also touched on and I quote him, Mr. President realized reality wins every time. In addition, he also criticized holding large crowds, the rally in Tulsa, how people had no mask, and how 6 of his staff members off this campaign trail was tested positive for COVID-19. And the reporter that reported that that was one of the reporters that was at that rally also was infected with COVID-19 as well. And he, another quote from Governor Cuomo, you don't defeat reality. He's been denying the scientific facts since day one. And then he said, put a mask on it. And then the way he showed it with his lips like this, Donald Trump like this, like, He put the whole, like a graphic, the whole mask on it. Put a mask on it. And so he basically got and toured into the Republican governors and saying like how they follow him, which is true because DeSantis, Governor Abbott, what's another governor? I think the governor of South Carolina, the governor Ducey in Arizona, all follow this man's bullshit. And even the governor in South Dakota, who she might see spikes because she saw spikes in the Smithfield thing and she just shrugged it off her goddamn shoulder. Like it wasn't a big goddamn deal. Really? And of course the governor of West Virginia, you know he gonna listen to everything what Trump say. I mean, he switched his party from Democrat to Republican. Let's be real. And also, he reported now on the other note, he reported that there are 879 patients that are hospitalized. So that's a big decrease from last week, from 1,500 all the way down to 879. That's good. From where we was at back in April, 3 months ago, we was in a third place. The late March, early April. And I know someone that died from COVID-19, was a former neighbor of mine, like growing up in Harlem. So that was like hitting close to home. So I'm kind of glad that we are dropping down in our death toll. And then also he conducted 56, the state conducted 56,000, just about 56,000 of tests back in December, and 625 people were tested. So that's 1.1% of the test, which ticked up a little. In New York region, in the New York City region, it was 1.1, and in the boroughs, if you get down to the boroughs, what was high was Brooklyn and Staten Island at 1.2, and all the other boroughs were at 1.1. And keep in mind that we do have 750 sites, and as of today, he encouraged every New Yorker, all New Yorkers, to get tested. Testing is available to us. So I probably will get a test probably Friday. So he made testing all available to us. Pretty much. In terms of the phases of reopening, he did blast my mayor, which kind of needed to, because people were relaxing on their social distancing just because we're doing okay. We're doing all right. We ain't doing all that great. We doing all right. You still have to continue to social distance. Wear your goddamn mask. I live on the Upper West Side. I never saw so many people, not so many, but a good percentage, not wearing a mask. And some of them are Karens, not wearing a mask. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you losing your head? Like, you have to wear your mask. That's important. If you don't wear your mask, it's like you're going to affect somebody else, especially in the store. And I go to, so I'm immunocompromised. Like, I'm gonna need for you to, like, don't spread that shit to me. Don't. I remember when Trump insulted a protester in Buffalo, that's upstate, on Twitter, and saying that he was pushed and it was set up. And yeah, I'm going to get to Trump's racism in a minute. I just got to get through this breathing for fellow New Yorkers. So pretty much sums it up when he blasts them that we're going to scale back on phase 3 of reopening for the city because of the other states, they do like to come to New York City, which 16 states have been quarantined due to the fact is that, you know, with the rising cases going up, and a lot of them like to come to the city, like I said. And also, people not social distancing. So I'm glad that the indoor of phase 3 will be scaled the hell back. And let's continue that. Maybe there's some other things in phase 3 that may open, but indoor restaurants, no. Nobody, no. And some of the regions upstate went in phase 4. So that's that. And in terms of the NYPD budget, you know, the what you call it, the NYPD police budget has been cut by 1 billion. But here's my thing with that. I don't mind the budget being cut, but what I do mind is that no one is cutting anything from the unions. But I'm going to leave it there just like that. That's all. I'm going to leave it there just like that. Because that's a whole separate conversation. As for the White House briefing, I saw that shit today. And pretty much Kelly McEnany's racist. Racist. Like, she basically talked about, you know, how, what you call it, failed, liberate Seattle, all this bullshit about that. And then she was saying how anarchy is anti-American, law and order is essential, and peace on our streets will be secured. And then she get into all this other nonsense of democratic cities. Nevertheless, Trump will lead by example and be prepared to act in the face of failed Democrat leadership. It's all this partisan conspiracy theory talk. So Kristen Walker asked her about the Russian bounty. She said, she mentioned yesterday what happens in any intelligence comes unverified in a way it could affect American troops or American allies, and immediately communicate on the ground to ensure that troops and commanders can make the best decision. And that's the way it's done. All this nonsense. And then she follows up with, Kristen follows up with the question about, is he frustrated? Is he mad that Congress and the allies got briefed? And then she was like, as foreign allies, all this nonsense. But what really kind of stuck me out is Donald Trump saying that Black Lives Matter is a symbol of hate, which we all know that's true. Kelly McEnany couldn't even respond. She basically responded with the pigs in the blanket, and you know, when she was pressed on that. And then she was also saying everybody of all races, protest, which is true in all 50 states. And she said all Black Lives Matter. What means all Black Lives Matter? Black lives matter. You can't say all Black matters. She's trying to say all lives matter. Black lives matter, and I said this before, when we could get affordable housing, when the pay is right, when also the education system, healthcare, when all that shit is correct, then all lives will matter. But until then, Black lives will matter, and it still matter and always matter 100%. And then what got me is when Yamiche basically questioned her, and then she pivots back to saying how if you're saying that renaming our bases is considered to be racist, not renaming the bases considered to be racist, then she said 56% of Americans are well, and they are against changing the name of U.S. military bases. And I believe that has the last base and they left was a racist soul. This administration, time and time again, just basically just prove every day that they're racist. Every day that they're racist, that they hate our intelligence agency, that they hate our country, they don't respect our troops. And that's the truth. Because if he respect our troops, they would have been all over this shit with Russia. And I believe that Putin did kill our soldiers and the UK soldiers. And Republicans should be outraged. But instead, they're not. They're not outraged. And so as Republican governors are not outraged by COVID-19, it's like this whole complacency with them. This is exactly why I say elections have consequences. And for those of my friends who live in southern states, y'all need to start voting for Democratic governors. And not saying Democrats are all perfect, but Republicans are showing who they are. Some of them been showing who they are for quite some time, but since the era of Trump, they're really showing their asses. And there are decent Democrat governors, and there are like one or two decent Republican governors. But my governor, Andrew Cuomo, actually has been showing true leadership. He's considered almost as the president of the Northeast. I don't really say president because he doesn't want to be. And he stated very clearly he does not want to be the president. And guess what? I don't blame him. I would not want to be the president either. Not for these motherfuckers. No. So, I mean, it's just complacency. They fall back on their globalism, family values, fiscal hawks, protecting the soldiers, slightly the free enterprise. Like, Republicans have fall back on their family values. On their values, period. Their traditional values, traditionalism, if traditionalism is a word. But they did fall back on that shit. And that's why when I read the definitions of conservatism and progressivism, I distinguish who is who. Like when I say Candace Owens is not conservative, she's not. She's a right-wing black mammy. And Trump is a right-wing George Wallace and Bull Connor. Because they were Dixiecrats. Do your research on these folks. Trust me, I know. But overall, this administration sucks. This whole these folks are complacent, and it's like with Meghan McCain, who says something dumb too. She says some dumb shit too, and I think I have the quote here. Where is that thing? It must be around here somewhere. So on The View today, she was, they was talking about Dr. Fauci, how he testified, and pretty much Rand Paul, he came with his stupid shit, trying to make news, trying to make headlines, and he be looking like an ass anyway, like he looked like an ass yesterday. And so, quote, I think Joy said that Republicans should be worried and scared of the Lincoln Project. If those who don't know the Lincoln Project is a group of never Trumpers who are people that put out commercials attacking Donald Trump and the Republicans that are complacent with Trump and enable him. And so they endorsed Joe Biden for president. And in those ads, if you go on Twitter, those ads are good. Or Google them, they're really, 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 really good. And Megan basically came back with a sentence. She said she's not worried about the Lincoln Project. And then she went on saying that she could say on national TV that she don't trust Dr. Fauci. She complains about, people not wearing masks in a Pride march in Chicago. First of all, they were protesting. And a lot of the protesters in that picture had their mask on. Like the protesters in all these states mostly had their mask on. Not like some of these protesters protesting their stay-at-home orders in Michigan, Virginia, even on Long Island and upstate. So, are you trying to start that both sides bullshit like Donald Trump? Because it seemed like she is. Like I said, these Republicans are complacent. Like she's talking about, I speak for the middle of the country. She's talking about she's a never Trumper. But it's like, you still speak for these Trumpers who are complacent and who will still vote for this man. So I have questions like, it makes me think like, are you racist? Or are you saying this to appeal to a base? Like, I don't know. And that's why sometimes she's annoyed the shit out of me. There's times that she does make sense. And there's times where she just like, most of the time it's just like, bitch, shut the fuck up. That's what it is. And I'm sorry for cursing, but that's how I feel about half of these Republicans. And I've been feeling that about them since the 90s. When they invoke their family values and their religion to politics, which the two should be separate. But that's just me. Yeah. What's my next topic? I write down my topics. In terms of the Veep stakes, I was looking at the polling for the Veep stakes. And, according to USA Today, we all know who's on top. I forgot the polling numbers in my head, but it shows that Kamala Harris is like, could be possibly the next VP. I mean, a lot of people, a third of Democrats, according to this poll from USA Today and Suffolk, they want a black woman as a VP. I wanted the black woman as my president, but you know what happened. Laura Bazelon lied on her on Kamala Harris's prosecutorial record. Record, and she admitted that she fucked up, which you did fuck up, and she knows she fucked up. So it's just like, so basically you ruined everybody's hopes and dreams that supported her. That was stupid. And then, like, Elizabeth Warren flip-flopped on her positions, pissed off a lot of progressives, then did not endorse Bernie, but waited till Bernie dropped out to endorse Joe Biden. So, you know, like, some of them progressives, some of them feel a certain way, and the rest of them don't. There's even some Bernie folks that want Kamala Harris to be the VP. Because they're pissed off with Elizabeth Warren. Half of them is, even Bernie Sanders is not supporting her ambition to be the VP. That's some shit. But I'm just a regular chick on the internet with only 2 people viewing my thing, and I don't know shit. But I can say this, though, as I end this live tonight. Stay vigilant. Wear your mask. Wear your gloves. Be informed, but don't let this virus consume you. Don't let nothing consume you. But until then, you have a great night.